Yes.
Awesome, thank you.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and let folks in. Welcome, welcome.
Good to be here, Dr. Andres. Thank you for the invite.
Hey, Judith, how you doing?
Good, good.
Good morning to our West Coast folks, and good afternoon to Midwest, East Coast. How's everyone doing today? Nice. So it is a pleasure to welcome you all back to the Unlock Higher Ed monthly meetings. We're excited to get things rolling and just have mostly the agenda today, which I'll drop in the chat here in a second, is mostly kind of focused on just getting to hear from folks about what's been going on, what their hopes are for the different work that they're doing, and just to kind of reconvene and say hello to each other and kind of get this going again this particular year. So I just dropped the agenda in the chat. As we get started, one thing, if for folks that have joined us before, we generally like to do a breakout session intro. So we'll be doing a breakout session intro where we'll break you out into about 3 people per room. And in that room, you'll have the opportunity, or we would like you to share name, location, organization, and what brings you to today's meeting, or what brings you to the work that you do, or why are you interested in connecting with Unlock Higher Ed. So I know we have, again, some very familiar faces to Unlock Higher Ed, and we have some new faces. So we wanted to just reconnect. And so we will open up a breakout room and ask that you take about 2 to maybe 3 minutes each person to get to know each other a little bit, and then we'll get back into the main session and do a very debrief to our breakouts to see how everybody's connecting, and then we'll kind of jump into the agenda.
I just want to jump in real quick, Stan, just in case anyone is like on the phone and they can't really do the breakout room. Please don't jump off the call. We totally understand if you're not able to kind of take part in the breakout rooms. That's totally cool. But there'll be some really great information later on. And so again, please don't jump off if you feel like you can't take part in the breakout room.
Yes, thank you very much. No, that is, please stay with us. If we'd love for you to be on camera for your introduction, but if you can't do that, or if you can't be on audio, that's all good as well. So I am going to do some mental math here and open up the breakout rooms. I think I have the right amount here. All right, so you should be getting a notification to join your breakout room. Please join your breakout room and do a quick 2 to 3 minute introduction, name, location, organization, what brought you here today. Judith, were you able to, did you get the notification? So, hi, Brenda. Thank you for joining. We're actually doing introductions and breakout rooms. So if you should have gotten
No, what, Stan, I'm on another call. So I'm gonna
DLC.
listen in
That's
on
okay.
to your stuff. I'm gonna not go to the breakout room. I'm very sorry. While I finish
no
my
worries.
Vera call.
And
No worries, no
so
worries.
She was saying that,
Thank
like,
you.
Caused some delays in us getting a response from them. They still have
Okay.
It's very exciting. This is the first time I've ever admitted people from a waiting room into Zoom.
As the host,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
It's very, very exciting. It feels very powerful.
Yeah, it's pretty when you jump in on someone's breakout room, it's like you're, a vision coming from above or something. You just pop up out of nowhere.
Yeah, and you can jump between them. Oh my God, how exciting.
So hopefully, I think each room had about,
I think there are about 3
people.
people in them. Yeah, I think every single group has 3 in them right now.
Margaret's group has only her. I'm gonna move her over. Hey, Margaret, I noticed the 2 people in your group didn't join, so I just sent you to another room.
Oh, where should, and send me anywhere, Stan.
I think I sent you to room 7. You should see, if you go to the top left corner.
Thank you. I'm going.
You also sent me somewhere, Mr. Stan. This is Jasmine. How you doing?
Yeah. Was there no one in your room?
I don't know. I just logged on. I was in the middle of a class. I'm finished class early, so I hopped on.
Okay. I'll send you to a room right now.
All right, cool.
And it actually looks like, okay, yeah, I'll send you to a room. So if you look on the top, if you're on your cell phone, if you tap your screen, and then you'll see a couple of 4 boxes in the top left corner. There you go.
Yo. Good afternoon, bro. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Jay? How you doing, man?
You already know, man. Doing too many meetings.
Yeah. I got a light meeting day, but I'm intentionally, because I'm in lab with my students right now. I
Okay.
actually just stepped out to do this here, but this is the prime time for my students.
What year are the students in?
I got some sophomores, juniors, seniors, as well as graduate students and medical students. So,
Right. Oh, so you got some people that's in, almost there. They almost at the finish line.
yeah, I got a couple of seniors that finish line for their bachelor's degree. They're all looking at MDs or PhDs beyond this. So
I know that's got to be exciting.
mm,
Yeah, you've been able to do one of the most important thing is to, I don't even know if infiltrate is the right word, but it feels like that. It feels like we intruders when we're on some of these campuses. So
Howard's campus is something else. I just came, I had to proctor the medical student exams. And it's, I used to do it at Hopkins, of course, like when I was faculty there, I used to proctor exams and such. But to be in a room full of 150 future doctors, and 90% of them be people of color is just,
it's crazy.
it's different than I've ever experienced,
Wow, that's powerful. Matter of fact, I had read a stat that Meharry Medical College and Howard University, they combined to produce like over 80% of the African-American doctors and dentists
Yeah,
practicing in the United States today. Yeah.
yeah. Howard is the #1 producer.
So
Of
those two
the,
schools,
yeah.
yeah, those two schools, over 80% doctors and dentists right now. Those two schools. I never heard of the other one, the Meharry Medical College. I don't know, even know where that school is at, but somebody has sent me that. Sent me those
It's in
statistics.
Tennessee, I believe. Nashville.
Oh, so it's HBCU as well.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Interestingly, #3, and I mean the other big producer is a school, Wayne State in Michigan.
Okay. Wayne State, but that's not a HBCU.
Can you
No.
hear me now?
Yeah, we get you good. We get you good.
I
You said-
can't hear you all though. I don't know why my headphones just went up.
You said Wayne State.
Yeah,
That's not an HBCU though.
no, it's
Yeah,
not.
Nothing up there. We need to put some HBCUs and some of these other places around the country. Yeah, I love working with the HBCUs.
So, Jay, I don't think you got, Harry didn't join us last time, but Harry's the individual from P2P that's going to be helping us out with Unlock and on the admin side. So he just started with us in an intern role. He's is it MPH/MD?
Yeah, I'm doing a MPH this year.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet
Welcome
you.
aboard to the P2P family. I'm definitely a P2P member on so many different levels. I'm a participant. I lived inside the housing before, everything. I'm a partner and everything. I'm P2P. I represent P2P just like I represent anything else. So thank you for having you. Look forward to, doing this community building and, changing some of these systems as we.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's only been a few weeks, but it's already like very cool and a lot of fun.
We've thrown you into a couple of projects already.
Yeah, no, I like
you
that.
into
It's
some
more fun.
You into some serious projects right now. Like you skipped a lot of steps. So you getting your MD and all this other stuff on one end, and this stuff right here, like you right in the mix with some of the most important people inside that feel a part of this movement. Right? It's crazy.
Yeah,
Welcome,
really.
Mike, Terrell, and Shanice. So we were doing breakout room introductions. So everyone else is in breakout rooms. We have about 3 minutes left. I could drop each of you in a breakout room for you all to do a micro. Terrell, Mike, and Shanice, if that's okay.
Sure.
All right. So you should get a notification on your screen to join room 10. And then it will be the 3 of you. And it was.
So Harry, where you originally from?
I'm from upstate New York originally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like near Albany, sort of.
I'm from New York.
Oh, really? Where about?
I'm from Harlem.
Oh, awesome. My sister lived in Harlem for a couple of years.
Okay. Nice. So where'd you go to undergrad at?
I went to Harvard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but it's been a little while since then.
Okay. It's definitely a pleasure to have you on board. We need all the help from other leaders as much as possible?
Yeah, it's been cool. It's been the whole year doing like the masters has been a nice break. So like a nice chance to do things that aren't like in the hospital and
Right.
see more like policy sides of stuff, which has been
Right.
super interesting.
Okay. So you got a master's at Johns Hopkins already?
Currently doing it now.
Oh,
So I'll
okay.
finish in May.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm with P2P for this semester.
Okay.
And maybe longer. Who knows? How long have you been doing stuff with them?
Oh man, when's your start, Stanley? When was P2P founded? I don't know. He's right. Yeah.
Again, his headphones.
Whenever it started, I've been doing it. That's it.
Oh wow! So you've been here since like day one.
Yeah, that's like day one. Mr. Blunt, how are you today?
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, I'm down with him too. He runs the formerly incarcerated graduate network. I think I might have been the first member to get down with that and not graduate yet. That's how long I've been doing this. I think they gave me a pass on just the GED.
We welcome students, impacted students from all places in their education career. I feel like that's the only way we're gonna make sure we increase our network membership.
Absolutely.
Not just focusing on those who already graduated, but
That's
also
right.
those who are trying to get the high school diploma, GED, and then those that's currently in college.
Yeah. Well, it's always good to serve this field with you, brother.
Always, man, always.
All right. So it looks like we have folks joining us again. Can everyone hear me okay? Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for taking part in our introductions. Would anyone, maybe if we could get a couple of folks to share something interesting that they learned from their breakout room. Or something that they're excited about.
We had a very good conversation about the PTSD and coming out how certain sounds, noises, names could be triggering and kind of some ways to deal with that. So we kind of transitioned from just getting to know each other into, I guess, some mental health issues, which was really nice.
Awesome. Thank you, Jonathan. Would anyone else like to share a couple words from their breakout?
I'll go. So I met Katrina and I met Sheila, and I was really excited that they're all over the country. I mean, all over all over the country. And also we talked about the issues again of coming out into this technological world that we're living in. You know, technology takes such a precedence in our day-to-day basic life skills, and that's not something that you learn on the inside, and you come out really with a major deficit, one that I still struggle with today after 2 years. So basic things like that are necessary, totally necessary for people to be prepared to succeed when they re-enter into the system, into the society.
Yes, thank you for sharing. One last comment, if we have one person that wanted to share. Chris?
We had a conversation about language and people first language and how it can be tough for people to get outside of that because it's the norm that they're brought up under and they get used to using it. But the implication that it has for people, and that when we use labels like offender, that it activates our schemas or our mental frameworks about people like that, and we start to implicitly, unintentionally think about them in certain ways and treat people in certain ways. And others, when they hear that language, it also activates those mental frameworks within themselves, and they start to think about themselves and their futures in that way too. So just thinking about language not only as humanizing, but also thinking about the impact that it has on our work.
That's awesome. Sounds like some good conversations that folks were having in the intro. So we appreciate that. We, in the world of Zoom and virtual, we want to give some type of connection instead of joining kind of a larger meeting and not being able to really share anything for the full hour. We really like to do that breakout introduction each time. So thanks for joining in the introductions and getting to know each other a little bit more. So we'll move into the agenda, which I just wanted to, I just dropped the link to Unlock Higher Ed in the chat, and I was going to share my screen and just talk a few minutes about Unlock Higher Ed. As we have a couple of new people, but even for the folks that've been around for a while, just to get a brief overview of things. So I'm going to share my screen. So if you drop to the home page here, there's a lot of information that you can go through. The website was really designed in a way to be a resource to folks. So we have a number of places that you can go to get access to different resources. I was actually going to start just talking about some of the things that we did in the past years. So we, Unlock Higher Ed was started in 2019, really with this idea of centering the voices of directly impacted individuals and really moving into the conversation on how to create access to education for currently and formerly incarcerated folks. And so in 2019, one of the big things that we were really advocating for was Pell restoration. And we held 3 in-person events. These are some pictures from those in-person events where we brought together, I believe, we had over 100 constituent meetings with about 150 people from across the country that attended. We brought in over 40 formerly incarcerated and actually a couple of currently incarcerated folks that were attended in these different meetings. And over the course of those, I believe there were 3 in-person events in 2019. And then in 2020, we held a number of virtual events in partnership with some partners like the Correctional Leaders Association. We really feel like we helped shape and bring about change in Pell. And of course, as many know, and we'll talk about it later in the meeting, Pell was restored in 2020, just at the end of the year. We'll talk a little bit about that. So that, if you go to our issues and projects, you can see that on the federal level, we really had Pell restoration as one of the key issues. We were also focused on FAFSA question 23, and we were also focused on removing the criminal conviction box from college applications. So 2 out of the 3 big priorities we've actually kind of reached in terms of changing the FAFSA question, Pell restoration. So now, we're in the stage of like, how do we refocus our priorities? And that's going to be the start of the conversation today. On the state level, we were also very focused Ban the Box, in partnership and led by Operation Restoration. We did, you can go to the map of states that we worked with and see, you could actually click through and see some of the different states that we worked with. I won't spend too much time on talking about like what to click through on that. I encourage you to go through and look at it. This is another view that you can look at it, where it's just a list of states where the legislation was passed, states where legislation was introduced, states where we Unlock Higher Ed and Operation Restoration, and many folks here on the call and that are not here with us connected and did trainings led by Noel Best, who's of course on the call today with us. And then there was a number of other states that were interested. So we still have the resources for this particular work right here on the website. There's actually a toolkit that we created, Unlock Higher Ed created, to help states in doing that work. We had, a membership structure, which you can learn about here, as well as you can, learn a little bit about the origins of Unlock Higher Ed, which I briefly talked about, but you can find more about it here. So for those kind of new to Unlock Higher Ed, or if you've been here with us from kind of that 2019 beginning, where it was really exciting to be in person and, storming Capitol Hill, a lot of the folks that we engaged, I remember, in those meetings, some of them, they had just gotten out of prison, a week before, and they were on a plane to DC, and they had never been on a plane before, never been to DC before, never advocated before. And yet, when we debriefed, they talked about how empowering it was to use their voice and talk to their legislators. So, not only did we really make change happen in the fact that Pell was restored, but individually, we really helped people, we really empowered folks to feel like their voice matters. And I think that may be even more important than the fact that we got Pell restored or the fact that we banned the box in a number of states. So we really want to re-engage that engine that Unlock Higher Ed was in terms of really empowering people's voices. So I will stop there in terms of Unlock's website and some of the things that we had done in the past. And any questions on that? I think, so today's meeting, what we really wanted to spend the last half of the meeting talking about is some next steps. So Kim, I don't know if you want to, I can, or actually, I think on the agenda, we briefly had Belinda and Terrell, which I see Belinda is not joining. She contacted me, and I could certainly speak to the NEGREG process, but since I just spent the last 7 minutes or so talking, Terrell, I don't know if you are at a place to just give you a quick overview, and then I can jump in and give an overview of the NEGREG process. Terrell was with us, but I actually don't see him, so maybe he's not in a good place. And I also see a bunch of other folks, so I can jump in and start and reshare, or just drop in the chat, maybe more so than reshare. But so Pell was, as I kind of mentioned, Pell restoration took place on December 20th, 2020. I'll drop this particular, these links in the chat. And so this is one of many articles that really informed right as it happened, pretty much. I feel like, I don't know how they came out with such a article so quickly, but this December 20th, Pell was restored. That particular event occurred after 26 years of Pell being not available to folks on the inside. And so later in 2021, there's something called the negotiated rulemaking process that essentially went through kind of what will be the language for this new law. So myself, Terrell Blunt, Executive Director of Formerly Incarcerated College Graduates Network, and Terrence McTeer, the Program Director at WashU's Prison Education, and Belinda Wheeler, who is at Vera, took place. And those, I point out those individuals because those are the ones that are part of this community here. Those are a bunch of people that took place in this process, a bunch of different stakeholders and groups, people representing different groups. And it was a process of creating the language. In the agenda, you could actually click through and see the language that came up. Does anyone, I know I see a lot of faces that were really part of that. I want to stop and offer, if anyone else wants to kind of jump in and add anything to that. So the summary of it, so in the agenda, we've dropped the summary as well as the actual language. Part of the big thing that, we advocated for, as well as what we gathered kind of a group of people to help me, Terrell, Terrence, and Belinda kind of gathered a group of stakeholders to be advisors to the process. And a lot of them were on this call. And we were really advocating for a couple of things, again, really trying to center the voices of directly impacted people. And one of the main things that we were really wanting to make sure that there was a lot of things. It was a kind of a draining process to be on the committee because it was, a 9-to-5 job several weeks out of this past fall. And, you're not paid for it. One thing that was kind of crazy, but and so we really were advocating to put this advisory committee together that needed to have community stakeholders and formerly incarcerated and currently incarcerated people that advise the prison education program. And so that was one of our big wins. This process actually had a bunch of other issues that it was creating legal language for. Pell was one of the few that actually got passed as we proposed it. A lot of the language, everyone didn't agree on it. But we actually got the Pell language to be agreed on. And so it should go into language, into law, or, the language should maintain most of what it looks like from those meetings.
Belinda joined us too, just so you know, Stanley, she's here now.
Oh, okay. Did anyone else? I see Sarah raised her hand. There was a lot of folks that were part of that process. So I would love if you wanted to share a few words on that process. Sarah.
I guess I had a question and I'll share a few words on it. I just wanted to thank all the people that sat on the subcommittee for holding it down so well. Those were arduous days to observe, and I can't imagine the labor that you guys felt participating in them. But I did have a question. Is there another public comment period on this? I know that a couple articles outline that this now is in the Department of Ed and that there's going to be another public comment period. I didn't know if that was the case or any updates about that.
Bradley, okay.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say. So thanks for teeing that up. I was just going to give sort of the update of where this is. So the subcommittee that Stan and others were on, and the committee that ultimately voted on this, did the lion's share of the work. So we have a draft regulation in place, and because the full committee reached consensus on it, that means as it moves into the next stage, most of it is not going to see big changes to it. But what we are waiting on now is called the Notice of Public Rulemaking. I think that's right, NPRM. And that is going to be an announcement that comes from the Department of Education that says, okay, we're ready for everybody to look at this draft regulation. And there's a couple steps there where the public will be able to comment on the regulation, and the department will have to respond to those comments. We have no sense of timeline of that yet. So if others have intel on that, please do jump in. So that means sometime this spring or this summer, we'll see that NPRM. And then the goal, although the department has lots of things on its plate right now, but the goal is to publish the final regulation by November 1st of this year. That is required for the rule to take effect in July 2023. If for some reason this rule does not get published by November, that would push implementation of the new Pell Grant program to after July 2023. I don't know if it pushes it a full year out. I think it does. So I think the goal is to get this out by November. So definitely watching for that NPRM to come out. And then in the meantime, I'll just plug very briefly, I'm working on an article where I just sort of like write in layman's terms what the new process will be. And my goal with that article is just to help people be paying attention to it, to understand what the requirements are, and to get it in front of like state corrections departments and other people who haven't been paying attention to the process or reading the regulation. It's kind of dense to get through. So this is just supposed to be like an easy read explanation of what the new process will look like. And hopefully that will get some conversations started on getting colleges, accreditors, state corrections agencies, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, all coordinated, because those people are required players in this process to get the new prison education program started. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Bradley. Any other questions? So I see there was a chat or a question in the chat. What will be the deadline for colleges to be able to apply? It's hoping to start in fall 2023.
That would be the very, I was gonna say, thanks, Margaret, for jumping in. That would be like the very earliest. That would mean colleges would have to have gone through all of these approval stages between the time, well, like in the lead up to, okay, so if the regulation doesn't take effect until July 23, is it possible that colleges and state corrections departments can start working towards this process before 23? Yes, I suppose. But fall 23, students in classes getting Pell Grants would be like the very earliest possible. And Margaret, maybe you have a sense of what that maybe more realistically looks like.
Well, I guess, hi, I'm Margaret from the Vera Institute of Justice, for those I haven't met. And my colleague Belinda, who's joined us, may have additional details, but I guess what I would say, and Mike, I'm not sure where in the country you're based or if you're at a college, but what I would encourage folks to do if there are colleges that are interested in starting to teach in prison is to, oh, Arkansas, great. Start having conversations with the corrections departments now. Because we all know the relationship building is critical to success and sort of understanding what's already being offered in that state DOC. How could this program complement that or build on that if it's like a 2+2 program? And so, yeah, so I would say start the conversations as early as you can. And then as all of these other processes get sorted out, the college and the DOC can work through those, because one layer of this, one part of the process is going to be for the DOC to vet the college. So anyway, happy to talk more about that or put you in touch with folks on our team who are providing technical assistance in Arkansas. And that goes for anyone else who's in other states, but just wanted to share that too.
Yeah, and that actually piggybacks well into the next agenda item. But before we leave this agenda item, I just want to be cognizant of time. We have about 15 minutes left. If you do have additional questions on this particular point, feel free to drop them in the chat or send them along to us. And we can get that to you. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat that is a survey that I'm also about to ask a couple of the questions from the survey right on a poll here. So we want to talk about, what is it? So we were very energetic. Some of the, founding or first folks that started Unlock Higher Ed, and then of course now it's grown into the listserv. I believe over 400 folks have connected and shown interest. But we were obviously very enthusiastic, as I mentioned, about Pell restoration. It had been, the history on Pell restoration. You can of course go to the website and find out more in depth, but the 1994 Clinton crime bill took it away. Past 25 plus years, it was gone. So that was a big thing that we were focusing on, but now that it's restored, how can Unlock Higher Ed refocus in terms of, there's still, of course, the question that just came up from Mike in Arkansas is one of the, big things that, as the law now has been passed, what can we do? So, we are of course very enthusiastic about getting people in prison, college. So now that it's passed, how do we actually make sure that this is taking place? So that could, that's obviously one of the things that we're thinking about, like how can we assist this process? So we've dropped a few suggestions on some things. And so if you can just use that poll that just popped up. But we also just want to take some time to talk about these. So as, and any other ideas that may not be listed on the actual survey that I dropped in the chat, it leaves space for others or new ideas that you think Unlock Higher Ed should be focusing on. We really, the steering committee members have been getting, got together and kind of thought about what it might look like, but we really want to draw from the larger community on what we could be doing to increase access to education using the voices and collective power of the community that's been built here. So I want to open it up to some of the other steering committee folks that were on the call, and even open the floor up to Chris Beasley, if you wanted to share a little bit about APA's victory, because I think that is actually kind of a direction that we could be thinking about. So Chris, are you still with us?
Yeah. So for those that don't know, just over the weekend, the American Psychological Association Council representatives passed by a 93.5% margin on the removal of the felony question from its membership application. That's an one of the top 10 largest and most powerful professional associations in the United States. It's a long-standing policy, one that we've been getting resistance on for years from them, interestingly from the ethics committee on that. But we have widespread support on that. We do hope that becomes a model for other associations. Our next step will be the Canadian Psychological Association, as well as any state or regional associations that still have it. All of these tend to follow APA's lead. And I expect that there are other professional associations in which this may exist, but may not be serving a real purpose. I think this could provide sort of a framework for how to address that. So we do hope to put some things together about the harms of it, the process we went through, the allyship model, produce a paper on that can hopefully serve as a source of support for others that might want to do that. So thank you for the space to talk about that.
Yes. And if you have any links to share, Chris, please drop it in the chat. But so that could, and as one of the focuses was with banning the box at the state level and really at the university level was another thing that was included in the toolkit that Unlock Higher Ed created. But thinking about it, moving that to associations and maybe even licensing boards, maybe something that and using the model, as Chris just mentioned, that they put together could be a direction and that we take. So we have about 73% of folks that have responded. So this is asking you to pick one response on the survey that we dropped in the chat and that we'll send out to the email to everyone on the listserv. Gives you the opportunity to pick a couple of responses, but we're forcing you to pick one right now. And we want to have a little bit of discussion about some of these here. Jay Holder, I don't know if you're at a place to talk, but
yes, I'm here. I can talk. What you need from me, brother?
If you wanted to speak to any one of the priorities that were listed, I know unlocking the state funds was something that you mentioned. So I don't know if you want to talk about that or any of the other ones.
Yeah, so basically, I'm glad Dr. Belinda Wheeler joined. One of the things that her and I were working on in South Carolina in particular prior to Pell Grants getting reinstated, but we knew that we were probably going to win this victory for all of this great work that everybody was doing here, that the Pell Grants cover a lot, but there's still certain things that they don't cover. So we were trying to figure out in South Carolina in particular, and me as well as in New York, how can we get the states to allocate some no funds? So like in New York, they got the TAP program. So we're trying to figure out how can we get the states to add additional funds. And pretty much the conversation with the state is, hey, the feds have done the heavy lifting. They have done their work. The people have spoken and they're supportive, education for various reasons. We think that it's time for the states to step in and help support the initiative. So that's one of the things that we think is critical. Remember, unlocking Pell was meant paying for higher education in prison. That's one thing. The second part is getting universities to actually go in there and offer it. And if we can get the states to come in and add that financial support, we can create a more holistic support system. Because right now in South Carolina, for example, we're in 3 facilities about to expand to 14, and we cannot currently expand with just the Pell Grant funds alone. So it would be really useful for us that's running prison education program to have that financial support. Thank you.
If I could just chime in for 2 seconds, Dan, I would just say it's so important. And I'm sure I see Rebecca Silver on this call. She could probably talk to this way more than I could, but I know that in California, for example, they urge people not even to use the Pell funds because there's such great state level funding. What they suggest that these schools do or these individuals do is hold off on the Pell funding, use the state funding, and then when they're out, use the. And Rebecca, I see you took yourself off the camera. You could definitely talk to a little bit more about that, but so important.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is that in California, we have a community college tuition waiver that's need-based. So, and it's not barred for incarcerated students. So we do encourage the colleges to not use it for those lower division requirements. Some still might. To some extent, it's the silver lining of all the hassles with getting Pell and the FAFSA have meant that our colleges have really focused on using state aid. But we also got this year 10 million ongoing in our state budget for inside and outside students in the community colleges. So we're making progress, not all the way there though.
Thank you. And there's some questions in the chat. We will make the chat available. And make sure if there were any private things shared that we won't add that. But the things that were shared to everyone, we will make available. And so I'm going to end the poll and share the results. But also to offer space for anyone to kind of speak to why they chose what they chose. Again, this survey is only asking you for one, or this poll only asks you to pick one. The survey that will be sent to you, and that also I dropped in the chat, I could drop it. It's a Google form. It actually asks you to pick up to 3. But I also want to give space to my home state and Basha for some of the work that they're doing. And I know, again, this Ban the Box work is kind of this ongoing. There's a number of states, and Bradley, thanks for that. We are working to update. I saw you drop a comment in terms of updating. We're in the process of updating the site, so we will get that updated in terms of all the states that have passed or are introduced. But one of the exciting new states that are on the verge of introduction is Missouri. So Bosh, I don't know if you want to just share a couple words to that.
Sure, thank you, Stan. And again, it's a group collective. If it wasn't for Dr. Andrees and Dr. Vest and Operation Restoration, we wouldn't be in this space today. But the state of Missouri is meeting with Senator Williams on March 24th to talk about Ban the Box. He's open, he's extremely supportive, and a group of us will be traveling from St. Louis to Jeff City to talk to the senator and to his cabinet and to other supporters that strongly believe in the need to pass this very important piece of legislation on the education and on the employment side. So thank you again to everyone who has been involved in these monthly calls, and we'll keep you posted on how things go in March.
Thank you, thank you. And so really the floor is open to anyone that wants to share on why they chose what they chose, or if there's something up there that's not there that you'd like to bring to the table and think about really adding a collective voice to. Yes, Wendy.
Hi, thanks. This is my first time attending the meeting, but I'm really interested in and grateful for all the work that Unlock Higher Ed has been doing. And I just wanted to make a quick plug, and I'll put my email in the chat. I'm at Florida Atlantic University, and we are working on banning the box and removing application barriers at FAU and within the state university system. We have a long road ahead of us. I'm holding a virtual event on Ban the Box at FAU / in the state of Florida this April, and it'll be our second time doing this. So we did this last spring as well, and so I'm just really we had Annie from Operation Restoration last year, and so I'm just really interested in anybody who might be even potentially tentatively willing to participate in a very low stakes virtual town hall, because we're really at the point of just educating the community and raising awareness. And we have gotten really good attention and support from the community and from local media. So I'm optimistic about the community support and the support from students and faculty. And I'm optimistic about some of the changes on the ground that we're going to be able to make at FAU, though I don't see us removing the question immediately. We've been able to do some research. I've been able to gather some research and look at the differences in the questions that are asked and the sort of extent to which different, even different universities within our state system ask the question differently, and so are sort of stigmatizing, right, at different levels. So again, I'm gonna drop my email in, and I would be really grateful for anybody who's even remotely interested in potentially talking to me.
So thank you, Wendy. That actually, we want to create a page that actually, and one of the, I don't think we're going to get to it on the agenda, but in closing, we wanted folks to share any, if you can't share it now, actually, if you can't actually speak to it because of time, if you could send it to us, we'd like to create a page on the website that really advertises and pushes up, and also push up on social media, help push up on social media these events that you wanted to share. So I know we're running short on time. I see that most people said working with the U.S. Department of Education to increase access to education, but really what I see is that forcing you to pick only one, everyone, there's kind of a wide place of places that focus could be. We hope for you to really create or answer the survey that we're actually sending out, because it allows you to pick 3, and it asks a couple other questions. One of the other questions that it asks is what I'm dropping right now. A lot of this work is collective work. So if you click yes, we will, or if you answer this question about if you were interested in joining a subcommittee, which will design based off of really looking at the priorities that we come up with. We'll capture your email through this survey, and then also we hope that you answer the other survey about asking if you're interested in being on some of the subcommittees to help do the work. We're at time. Did anyone want to offer any other events that may be going on in closing, or any other priorities that they really think should be at the table? And if you have to drop off, feel free to drop off. We thank you for joining, but if others wanted to stay on a few minutes, I have a little bit of time before have to jump off as well. But any events or last thoughts on priorities before we close out?
I had a question, Stan. I was curious, is the focus to be exclusively on higher education, or is there an opportunity to focus on other avenues as well for the majority of people that are incarcerated that probably would never take a college program, but having micro-credentialing or other types of avenues as well?
So that's a great question. And I think as it had been defined, Unlock Higher Ed was looking at any post-secondary education beyond high school degree. So I think creating access to any educational opportunities to increase skills would fit. So yeah, it doesn't have to be limited to a college degree. If that answers the question. Aaron, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, so really quickly, for those that are looking toward either the rest of this legislative session in their state or planning towards next legislative session, I put a document in the chat that defines the differences between advocacy, activism, and community organizing. And so as you're thinking about building your basis for the various issues, whether it's reinstating or coming up with state aid, ban the box initiatives, whatever those legislative needs are, you're going to need a base of support. And so this document will kind of help walk you through who you need to talk to, how you can address them, and give you some general pointers from one of the longer standing organizers here in the state of Connecticut, which is not myself.
Thank you. Thank you.
You said that's in the chat?
Yep, I put it in the chat. I can, I'll put it in one more time. I feel like I've been trying to get it to everyone. I think I sent it to like Belinda privately and I'm like, whoops, messed that up. So I'll put it there one more time.
And so thank you, Aaron. It's a PDF, Shannon, I think is what she dropped. It's not a link. And so we really want this to be that information sharing space. So thank you all for sharing events, things going on, the advocacy and efforts that you have going on. We really encourage you, and that's what this space is really all about. We are short on time, but we hope for you, we will be more in contact. So folks that you'll get the follow-up to this meeting, which will have that survey. We'll be reaching out pretty quickly to folks saying that they're interested in subcommittees. The idea is the subcommittee commitment would be an additional meeting aside from the full committee or this full meeting on whatever issues we move forward with focusing on. And so really stay tuned for that. And thank you all for joining. I hope to see you back next week or next month, sorry, and hopefully maybe even connecting a little bit before that for those interested in subcommittees. Anyone else want to add any closing last thoughts?
No, I just was going to tell Wendy Henshaw I reached out by email to you. Please, and feel free to follow up whenever you get a chance.
Great. Thank you so much, Noel.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday. Thank you all for joining, and we will see you again soon. Take care, everybody.
Everybody.